Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Hump Day edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com, Restored Motion, restoredmotions.com, and ProCharge EV, prochargeev.com. All right, y'all. Hope your morning is off to a fantastic start. Tigers are back on the practice field yesterday. They're back on the practice field again today. And Brian Kelly will meet with reporters today around noon after practice. So that is a little bit of a change. Just so you know, and I'll kind of let the audience build here a little bit because I know everybody probably wants me to talk about the Denver Harris thing. But whenever fall camp is about to begin, the media, they send out a fall camp itinerary. So it's every day of practice, when the media availability is, when the interviews are, all the particulars about where to enter, where to park, all this sort of stuff, how long we can video, when we can just watch, but etc. And so keep in mind that this was before even Jimmy Lindsey's health scare. And so today we were supposed to speak to John Jancic, who, remember, was the special teams coordinator when Brian Polian was moved off the field. They moved John Jancic onto the field as the Jack linebackers coach and special teams coordinator. So we were supposed to speak to John Jancic today. Well, obviously after Jimmy Lindsey's health scare, John Jancic has moved to coaching defensive line. Bob Diaco has moved on field as the Jack linebackers coach and special teams coordinator. So we are actually going to speak to Bob Diaco, not John Jancic. And that was supposed to be today, but they've moved it. So instead, they flipped Diaco and Kelly. Kelly was supposed to speak with us on Saturday. I don't know if all this makes sense, but it makes sense in my head, so I'm just kind of riffing a little bit. So we will speak to Brian Kelly today after practice, Wednesday after LSU's practice. So no doubt he will get asked about the Denver Harris situation and his absence. There's a lot that's kind of out there. I can't confirm one way or another if Denver Harris is, excuse me, I can't confirm if he's suspended, if he's kicked off the team, any of that stuff. What I'll tell you is, and what I know is that he hasn't been in practice the past couple of days. And I also know that now there's reports out there of a fight in the locker room, which I can confirm to a certain degree. What I mean by that is I don't know all of the principals, who was involved, how serious it was. I wasn't there, obviously. And it was the day that we all saw the fight at practice last week. So one of the things that I was told that kind of makes sense is, if you remember, they had the little fight at practice. And so Malik Neighbors and Kyron Lacey got sent into the locker room. And if you remember, I said, I can't believe they didn't send Major Burns and Harold Perkins in the locker room because they were just as culpable. And then we talked about how Denver Harris jumped in the fight and took his helmet off when he jumped in the fight, which I can't imagine why you take your helmet off when you jump into a fight, but whatever. But apparently what they wanted to avoid was sending all those guys, the instigators, in the locker room together to go fight in the locker room. Which makes sense, actually, with the benefit of hindsight. But apparently, after practice, they got into it again. So to what degree, I don't know. Who was involved, I don't know. All that stuff. So I can't give you any more detail than that, so my apologies. But there was some of the rumors out there that that's one of the reasons why, if Denver Harris was involved in that, why he's suspended, whatever the case may be. So we'll find out today from Brian Kelly. What I'll tell you, regardless of what happens with Denver Harris, and this is one of the problems associated with marrying yourself to star rankings. If there were no star rankings at all, and you didn't know that Denver Harris was at one point a 5-star, this wouldn't be a big deal. because Denver Harris was running third team at cornerback. So people are really interested in this because at one point this kid was rated by the recruiting services as a 5-star. Yet he was a knucklehead in College Station and didn't play much. Transfers here, kind of a last resort. And he's running third team. So I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, he's not a starter on this team. Would you love to have an athletic guy like that? Hoping he can reach his athletic potential? Absolutely, you would. And for his sake, I mean, LSU football notwithstanding, for his sake, I hope he gets it together. You'd hate to see him in consecutive years blow 2 major opportunities at A&M and LSU. But some young guys just have to go that path. Shoot, man, I remember Janoris Jenkins at Florida. Got ran out there, ended up finishing at Jacksonville State. Made it to the NFL and, played well in the NFL, but cost himself millions of dollars, an opportunity to be a first-round draft pick. But so for Denver Harris, I hope he gets together for his sake, obviously. But strictly from a football standpoint, Deuce Chestnut, Zay Alexander are your starters. The next 2 guys rotating in are LaTerrence Welch and Ashton Stamps. So, Denver Harris was running third team when he was out there. So, take that for what it's worth. All right. So LSU back on the practice field today, and then, of course, Brian Kelly will meet with reporters after practice around noon. Let's say some good mornings. Y'all fire away with what you got. Kelly Gross, good morning. Charlie Cavell, good morning. Excuse me. Cody Champion, good morning. Numero uno. Devin Johnson, good morning. I can feel it in the air. We're getting closer, people. Whiskey and martini glasses, I'm down. Always down. Braden LaRussa, what's good, dude? Good to see you on Saturday. Jason H., good morning. Zach Swan, Trivia Carter, good morning. Jonathan Martin. Randall Offred, morning, Matt. Does LSU have a starting NFL running back on the roster? Yeah, Logan Diggs. Logan Diggs is that. The other thing I'll tell you, too, is, man, you never know how guys develop once they get into an NFL career. We've seen plenty of examples of guys who were, look at Darrell Williams. Darrell Williams was, third on the depth chart behind Leonard Fournette and Darius Geis. And by comparison to the two of them, looked very average. Well, he goes to Kansas City and a series of injuries here or there, and he ends up being a starter in Kansas City for a while. So I know that's not what you're asking. You're asking, is there like a lead NFL back? Is there like a bell cow? And I would tell you that talent-wise, the best guy on the team is Logan Diggs. So that's not to say you couldn't see other guys grow and develop and all that stuff, but I don't think Josh Williams has the skill set. Really good college player. I don't know that he's got it to make it to the next level. Armani Goodwin runs really hard. I like Armani Goodwin a lot. I think he actually finished last year as LSU's leading rusher by yards per carry on average. So I do like Armani Goodwin. We just haven't seen a ton of him. John Emery, again, we just haven't seen consistently. So then Noah Kane is a guy who's kind of a one-cut, get-up-the-field type guy, so probably not. You could look at the freshmen. Caleb Jackson looks really good, man. That's of the freshmen, he's probably the one that you look and go, oh, okay, well, that looks a little different. Looks like a linebacker playing running back. But right now, for the purpose of this season, I would tell you Logan Diggs. Spurge, good morning. Weston Weaver, Brett DeGrow, good morning. I really enjoyed watching Braves-Yankees the last 2 nights. Why would you do that? Jude McLaren, good morning. Mac McGuire, Brian Pinton, good morning. From Great Bend, Kansas. Okay. Hey, Rebecca Clare, good morning. Tiger Diver, Wendell Norman, Brian Wynn. Cody, if you could pick one game to go to in Baton Rouge this season, what would it be? I love the Auburn game. It's always my favorite. If you're looking at what game is going to be the most sort of intense this year, most stakes. I mean, LSU plays Florida after Alabama this year. So they play Florida in November, which can be weird to play Florida that late in the season. But based on what happens in the Alabama game, obviously that Florida game could be massive. And you got A&M. It's a great home schedule this year, and you got Army in the non-conference as well. So it's a great home schedule this year. But I mean, I love the Auburn game, so I'd probably say Auburn just out of that. Jacob Hibbard, good morning from Utah. Okay. Mark Allen, odd as it sounds, I'm not worried since Brian Kelly is the head coach. Yeah, I mean, look. I don't want to like speak out of turn and say like, well, Denver Harris doesn't matter or this or that. Like, he's a talented player. It's never a good thing to lose depth. I mean, J.K. Johnson, the transfer from Ohio State's already out with a broken bone in his leg, and now if Denver Harris is out for whatever length of time, I don't know. Again, we'll find out today. I would presume we'll find out something today, but it thins out a position where you didn't have great numbers to begin with. So I don't want to like just dismiss it. The point that I'll continue to make though is, yeah, I mean they've he was running 13. Excuse me. Nick Newbill, good morning. Antron Hemingway, good morning, Matt. How you doing? Did the Saints play this weekend? Yeah, man. Saints play. Saints play against the Chargers in LA. So the Saints leave today for LA. So they practiced yesterday afternoon, evening. They leave today for LA. They'll have joint practices Thursday, Friday with the Chargers, and then they'll play the Chargers on Sunday. Saturday will be a walkthrough, then Sunday they'll play the Chargers. Uncle Hoodad, good morning. I see 11-1 Tiger season in our future, playoff appearance. That's the on the record prediction I made is 11-1. And everybody always asks, well, which game you predict them to lose? And my answer is I don't know. I just know it's really hard to go undefeated, so I don't think they will. I could see them losing the opener. I could see them losing at Bama. I could see them stubbing a toe where you really would hate to see it, like at home against Auburn or something like that, on the road against Ole Miss. A little trap game. But yeah, I like it. Tiger Diver, what freshman do you think has the potential to be a breakout player this year? One of the guys I just mentioned, Ashton Stamps, I think certainly is a guy you're going to see in the secondary a good bit. The other one I'll tell you is, I'll give you two on offense. I'll tell you Mac Markway, who's running as the second tight end behind Mason Taylor. I know everybody's talking about Kamorian Pimpton, and maybe he's the answer because he's going to have the potential to make some really big plays. Like yesterday, with the second offense, they were running 2-minute drills. So they were going like full length of the field, 2-minute offense with a clock running, right? So the offense started at the 30-yard line with 1:50, and they had to go the length of the field running a 2-minute offense. And so Nussmeier was in there with the twos, and he threw a ball. He just high-pointed a ball to Pimpton, and Pimpton just went up over the defender. It was Jordan Allen. Went up over him and just high-pointed the ball, caught it, and like actually coming down, like trapped it against the defender. It was a beautiful catch. But so Pimpton, I think, has the potential maybe to be a red zone guy or make those sort of spectacular plays. But Mac Markway, I think, is the guy that's probably going to get the most playing time of the freshman tight ends. And then the other, Shelton Sampson. When we look at the receiver rotation, we're looking at Neighbors. So your starters, your XYZ, are Neighbors, Lacey, and Brian Thomas. Sorry. Oh, my God, I blanked. Sorry. Neighbors, Lacey, Brian Thomas. And then your next group is Aaron Anderson, Chris Hilton, and Shelton Sampson. So, and they all play different positions. So it's not to say like Sampson is the sixth receiver. He's the second receiver at Kyron Lacey's spot. So, so I'd give you those two on offense. I would tell you Mac Markway, Shelton Sampson on offense. And defensively, I mean, Ashton Stamps deserves the conversation. I mean, he's... And you know what? I'll tell you the other guy that's like, is Whitweeks. They've got Whitweeks running some with the twos at linebacker, and he's on every special teams unit. He's wearing number 40, so he's got Perkins' number from last year. He is... Don't get confused. Like, West Weeks is a good player. Whitweeks is a really, 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 really good player. Like, he's going to be a stud linebacker for LSU. The younger brother, Witt, who's a freshman this year. Witt is better than West. Younger brother better than older brother. Brian, we're going to go see the Army game. This game I want to see once in a lifetime. Yeah, that'd be really cool, man. See the cadets in Tiger Stadium. It'd be awesome. Taylor Castanier, Matt, did they ever release what Jimmy Lindsay's diagnosis was? No. And you know what? And Taylor, look, I've had a few conversations about it, and I'd rather not say. I mean, it's one of those things where it's a private thing. It's a medical deal for the family, and but it was serious, man. It was serious. Jacob Hibbard, based on what you're seeing and hearing, is Daniels taking a step forward as a passer we're wanting? So, Jacob, like, this is where I just kind of, I'm going to push back a little, and I think that's a fan narrative that's just wrong. Daniels threw for 2,900 yards last year. He was just shy of becoming only the fifth passer ever with a 3,000-yard season. I mean, like, I know the frustration was, well, he didn't push the ball down the field. Like, but I also think that was just was that true early in the season? Yes. But in part, I think that was a quarterback not wanting to make the critical error on a team that couldn't afford for him to make the critical error. So Daniels looks fine, man. He's accurate. He's confident. He's makes good decisions with the football. Like, he's what you would expect from a veteran quarterback. Yesterday, and if you want to ask about a deep ball, during the 2-minute offense we were talking about just a second ago, he threw what I think was the pass of the day yesterday. Rush was coming. He stepped up, moved to his right in the pocket, and threw a deep ball down the right sideline. Believe it was Kyron Lacey, and he just dropped it over two defenders and put it in the bucket. It was a beautiful pass. So, yeah, I mean, but the whole Jaden Daniels making a progression as a passer thing, he threw for 2,900 yards, 17 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, completed 6. Wait, let me get it actually. He threw for 2,900 yards, 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. His QBR was 79.2, which was 15th in the country. He completed 68% of his passes, which was a career high. I mean, again, fan narrative, but happens. Dale Broussard, have you predicted a score for the first game yet? I have not. Bubba Smith, good morning. Darren Reeves, morning, Matt. It's amazing to me since Sean Payton has been gone from the Saints. They've added quite a few LSU players to the roster. Coincidental, is that something here that Sean really hated LSU? So the thing that I'll remind you of, Darren, I know that was another narrative that persisted for a long time, is that the Saints did add a lot of LSU players via free agency and undrafted free agents. They just didn't draft a lot of LSU players, and they still haven't. I can go back and remember, like, they brought Matt Flynn here. I remember there was time they signed Ryan Baker as an undrafted free agent. Ronald Martin was with the Saints as a free agent at one point. So, they traded for Quan Alexander under Sean Payton. I guess my point is, like, they had a lot of LSU guys come through here over the years. Practice squad guys trying to make the team, trades, whatever. They drafted Will Clapp. They just didn't draft a lot of LSU guys, and I think that's where that narrative started. But it's cool to see a lot of the LSU guys, coming back, especially guys from New Orleans. Like, I mean, Tyron's from New Orleans, Jarvis from New Orleans, Darrell Williams from New Orleans, Foster Moore from New Orleans. I think that's really cool too, to have guys who played at LSU who are from New Orleans coming back playing for the home team. I think that's very cool. Darren, he's not going to agree with you. He hates that narrative. I do hate that narrative. It's just because, and I mean, just to further it, like, and Brian said, don't forget Devery Henderson. But Devery Henderson was before Sean Payton. He was drafted by Jim Haslett. But Thad Landry, good morning. Jeff McKithen, good morning. But the point that I make all the time is, like, sometimes we get so, like, insular. And I've done this on air plenty of times. Go look at the Falcons and see how many times they've drafted Georgia players. It's almost never. Go look at the Miami Dolphins and see how many times they drafted University of Miami players. Go look at the LA teams and see how often they've drafted USC, UCLA. Or go look at the Packers and see how often they've drafted Wisconsin players. Like, it's not common. I mean, it's just, you have to have a player that you like with that round grade available at the time you're picking, and that's the top guy on your board, and happens to be from that school. It just doesn't always work out that way. Okay, a couple more here. Please smash that like button if you would. 108 watching live. Appreciate y'all. I know a lot of people jumped aboard late. Probably one of the Denver Harris conversation, which you want to put in the description. So Brian Kelly will meet with the media today around noon. No doubt he'll get asked about Denver Harris. He may offer up a comment first. What I'm willing to say is, I don't know if Denver Harris has been suspended or dismissed. I do not know that, to be very clear. He has not been in practice the last 2 days, as many people said. We haven't seen there. And there is scuttle out there about a locker room fight. And I'll tell you that I will confirm that did happen. I can't tell you how severe the fight was, who started, who was involved, all that. But the day last week where they had the little scuffle on the field, it spilled into the locker room after practice. So, and was Denver Harris involved in that? I don't know. Again, that's where I'm telling you I don't know. But that's what I know. It's what I'm willing to say. And the other thing too is Denver Harris was running third-team cornerback. So, yes, it hurts your depth to have J.K. Johnson injured and Denver Harris not out there. But he was running with the threes. So, if he wasn't a 5-star coming out of high school, nobody would be asking about him. All right. Ransom Antoine, good morning, Matt. You need to clip Condon's prayer from yesterday. If you missed yesterday's show, I would highly recommend you go back and watch it, because I had to do a podcast at 7 a.m. yesterday at Guarantee. So afterwards, I did morning Scone about 8:30 as I was sort of walking through the building. So checked in with Condon. Haldane was on the air. Went down to the front desk and talked to Judy for a while. Flynn Foster popped in the lobby. So it was kind of a behind the scenes at Guarantee morning Scone yesterday. So check it out if you'd like. Joey Vincent, Larry Garner, Corey Lyle, good morning. Was Harris running third team due to his performance and issues, picking up Matt House's defense, or attitude? Maybe a little bit of both. I mean, I'll tell you, Corey, and I've charted everything I've looked at. There wasn't anybody those first couple of weeks that were really impressive in the defensive backfield. So it wasn't like he was just locking dudes down with the third team. Stuart Angers, good morning. Solar Flares, good morning. Chihuahua 1, what's going on? Bailey C, AFR is the only thing I listen to on the radio now that Opie and Anthony's gone. Thanks for listening, Bailey C. I appreciate it very much, man. Randall Offrecht, does Brian Kelly run the same offense that he ran at Notre Dame? Yeah. I mean, remember, he and Mike Denbrock have a ton of synergies going on. Zachary Hardy, I know these two are not in the same category, but Pimpton almost sounds like Kyle Pitts. Very different, Zachary. Kyle Pitts, Pimpton's taller than Pitts. Pitts was more of like a fluid tight end, fast receiver. Pimpton is just 6'6" and super long. Think more like Jazz Ferguson and some of those gigantic receivers LSU had in the 2010s. Damon Gilmore, good morning. All right, y'all, we are done. I got to bounce. Appreciate y'all for being here. Do me a favor, if you're on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe up to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post, brought to you by Brock and Hudco. Hey, quick reminder, if you haven't done it yet and you're interested, really cool podcast series that I've been working on with Brock, BR Ortho Talk. Get to sit down with a lot of the Brock docs. The episode last week was with Dr. Rick Ahmed, hand and wrist specialist, and the episode that dropped yesterday is Kate Richey, who Dr. Ahmed was awesome. Told, the American story, son of immigrants. His mother was a migrant farmer. His dad was a sheep shearer turned physician who became a professor in Tennessee. So Dr. Ahmed was born in Eugene, Oregon, went to school at Tennessee, med school at Vanderbilt, went into the U.S. Navy to pay off school. And then because of a connection he made with a doctor from Dr. Robichaux from Raceland, who they met at Vanderbilt Med School, ended up at Brock in Baton Rouge. And anyway, fascinating guy and really good conversation. And then Kate Richey is your classic underachiever from Boston, who went to Dartmouth, Yale, and Harvard, and where she met Kevin Richey, who went to Calicut. They fell in love, got married, and now they both work here at Brock. So anyway, her story is great as well. So check them out. You can listen on your favorite podcast app, or if you're on YouTube, just search for the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, and you'll see the podcast series as the episodes are starting to drop. So, okay, appreciate y'all for watching. Have an awesome day. Peace.